You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo! Hey.
What you think about the double standard, Floyd? They asked you to move up and fight a middleweight, but then they tell Andre Ward to leave Golovkin alone. I mean, what do you think about that? Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Let me open up this video with a quote. Love without truth is hypocrisy, and truth without love is brutality. As you guys all probably know by now, and it was just recently reported and it went viral, surprisingly, because usually this type of news is swept up under the rug. But this story by Floyd Mayweather surprisingly went viral. I mean, it was on every single website. This story is so big that reporters are asking the WBC president what he thinks about it, and other people in the boxing community, right? This is a good thing, guys. This is a good thing. Before I explain why this is a good thing, let me just give you a brief summary of what Floyd Mayweather said. Floyd Mayweather, he brought up the issue of racism in the sport of boxing and the double standards that obviously exist, right? You don't have to be a very intelligent person to see the double standards. I mean, the question was never, is there a racial problem in the sport of boxing and even outside of boxing? That was never the question. That's like asking, is the sky blue? You're not going to debate if the sky is blue or not, right? This was more of, were you going to acknowledge that it exists? That's really what this always comes down to. You know, the topic of racism has always reminded me of the movie The Sixth Sense. You guys remember that movie, right? Little kid running around seeing ghosts. And he's the only one that can see it, right? So he's telling everyone, I see dead people. But nobody believes him, right? Everyone acts like they don't see it. And I use the word act because it's a movie, so these are actors, right? This kid, he sees ghosts, he sees dead people, but everyone else, they act like they don't see it. This is exactly how racism works. You tell someone you see racism, people say, come on, man, you're just playing around. There's no racism that exists anymore. You didn't know that? You could pull out all type of proof and evidence, you know, recorded shootings and killings of little 12-year-old black kids getting murdered by police officers. No matter what you say or what you provide, these people will still act like they don't see it, right? Now, what's real funny about this situation, I'm telling you guys how I think of that movie, you know, I See Dead People, correlates with I see racist people, I see racism. What's so funny is, before I made this video, I just seen a headline of an article, and the headline reads, Mayweather sees racism in boxing. How ironic is that, right? Now, this is not to suggest that this is a bad or biased article at all. But the point that I'm making is, why title the article, Mayweather Sees Racism, as if he's the only one that sees it and he's just seeing dead people? How about Mayweather talks about the racism in boxing? Or Mayweather exposes racism in boxing? Mayweather exposes racial double standards in boxing. How about something like that? What's wrong with being a little bit more truthful when it comes to this subject? I guess that's almost a rhetorical question, right? Okay? But before I get deep into speaking the whole truth, let me give you just a brief summary of what Floyd Mayweather basically said to the media. What Floyd basically said was there is clearly a double standard, a racial double standard of how black fighters or black athletes are treated as opposed to white athletes like Conor McGregor, or what's her damn name? I done already forgot her goddamn name now. What is her fucking name? What is her damn name? You know what? I'm gonna let this tape run until I remember this damn. What is the MMA chick who just got knocked the fuck out? I cannot remember her name. Ronda Rousey. Jesus Christ. Boy, talk about 15 minutes of fame, huh? I completely forgot this woman's name. Anyway, McGregor and Ronda Rousey. Floyd Mayweather basically talked about the double standards of how he gets hated for basically throwing money out, being confident, being quote unquote cocky, talking a lot of shit, boasting and bragging, etc., etc., etc. Now, of course, when Floyd Mayweather does this, he is the most hated man on the planet. And you know, I want to say as well, when it comes to the excuses of saying, oh, I don't like him because it's domestic charge, that's bullshit. Because the domestic charge, when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, that was way towards the end of Floyd Mayweather's career. Floyd Mayweather was hated even more after he beat Oscar De La Hoya. That's when the real hate started. And that's simply because he talked all that shit and then on top of it, he beat the guy. That made people hate him even more because they wanted to see him lose. They were like, oh, you gonna talk shit about my golden boy? Now Oscar really has to beat him, right? Imagine a guy that you hate already, and then he beats your guy's ass and then smiles in your face and says, I told you so. That's when Floyd Mayweather started to get hated. I mean, don't get me wrong. They were hating on him even when he beat Arturo Gatti, which was much earlier than the Oscar De La Hoya fight. But the real hate came when he fought against Oscar De La Hoya. So the point that I'm making once again is, when Floyd Mayweather was confident, cocky, braggadocious, and all of that kind of stuff, these fans, they said, oh, that's the reason why I hate him. You couldn't even talk boxing with them. You try to talk about just the sweet science and, oh man, the way Floyd does this and he does that, and you always had them decaf saying stuff like, yeah, but I just don't like the way he talks. I don't like the way he acts, and he's too cocky, and that's why I don't like him. I just don't like him. And you try to, bring the conversation back to boxing, and once again, they continue to make it personal. Oh, I just don't like him. I don't like the way he acts, and So enter the opposite side of the spectrum, Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey. Let's check out how good and well behaved they act. I want you guys to imagine Floyd Mayweather saying after he just beat Canelo or before he beat Pacquiao or whatever, saying on the microphone, man, I will beat Jesus Christ's ass. That's how good I am. Imagine Floyd Mayweather saying something like that. Do you know they would probably try to assassinate this man? But Conor McGregor, that's exactly what he said. And they loved him for saying it. They loved him for saying it, right? That's just a little small sample of the crazy stuff that this man done said. You got Ronda Rousey talking about how she could easily beat up men and she could beat up everybody with one hand tied behind her back and etc., etc., etc. It just goes on and on and on with these cats. Oh, but you don't like people that are cocky. You don't like people that are braggadocious. Unless they got the best insurance in the world, which is that hope insurance. Then you don't have a problem with them being braggadocious and talking about beating Jesus' ass and so on and so forth, right? That hope insurance ain't no damn joke. Too bad they're not accepting applications for fighters on the coincidental list. Oh yeah, it's the best insurance in the whole wide world. It'll cover anything, right? Hell, you ain't even got to pay a deductible. As long as you got your damn Hope insurance card. You pull that shit out, and you can act a motherfucking fool whenever you want. That's right. You can act like Floyd Mayweather. You can act like Jack Johnson, Muhammad Ali. You can act like all of them, and you are going to be covered. Now just remember, guys, when Muhammad Ali was in his prime, Muhammad Ali was hated more than Floyd Mayweather is today. So don't give me that ridiculous ass talk. You always had these fans that wasn't even around that time saying, hey, well, that's crap because they loved Ali. No, they didn't love Ali. Muhammad Ali was hated way more than Floyd Mayweather. Even before Muhammad Ali became Muhammad Ali, when he was just Cassius Clay, he was still hated because of the racism and the Jim Crow that existed back then. When Muhammad Ali came back to his hometown after winning a gold medal, he was in his own hometown and wanted to go to one of the popular restaurants in his town, and they wouldn't even let his ass in. And they knew that he had just represented the country and won a gold medal. So don't give me that he was loved way more than Floyd Mayweather. Nah, that shit ain't true at all. Muhammad Ali is loved now because he's no longer a threat to anyone. That's why he's loved now. And once again, with Muhammad Ali, whenever he fought, it was always the lesser of two evils. Muhammad Ali was always fighting another guy on the coincidental list. You put Muhammad Ali in today's era. You put him in this generation. Put Muhammad Ali in the welterweight division where Pacquiao is. Put him in the middleweight division next to Gennady Golovkin. Let's see how much they love Muhammad Ali while he over here talking about how ugly Gennady Golovkin is. And he gonna beat his ass, and he ain't gonna even train for the fight. And Golovkin ain't nothing but a bum. Let's see how much they love him then. Let's see how far Muhammad Ali can go operating without his insurance. Without that good old hope insurance. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to Mayweather and what he was basically saying. So yeah, man, so Mayweather, he exposes these double standards. Now, this is when I want to go ahead, and I don't do this too often. I don't talk about myself too often at all, right? I normally keep it straight boxing. But at this time, I want to go ahead and try to break my goddamn arm, patting myself on the back. That's right. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. I am one of the very few people online, next to people like Boxing Ego, and even my man Wilson Caden, who hasn't been doing videos consistently recently. Hopefully he comes back because, you know, he's the type of voice that we need. We need strong voices, people who aren't going to just flip-flop because they're, you know, the pressure of the decafs in the comment section is getting to them to where they start conforming, you know, to the idiots. We need people with strong minds that aren't afraid of the backlash. You guys remember those 19 or movies based on the 70s, the 60s, where you have a civil rights leader, right? And he's in his church spitting a whole bunch of game, right? Next thing you know, the KKK, they ride up to his house on horses. Hey, you better stop all that goddamn talking, giving people hope, stirring up trouble for the good niggers. If you don't cut that shit out, we're going to come over here and kill you. Right? This is what they would do. They would try to shut you up. And I want you to think about something for a second. These KKK members, they ride to people's houses in horses, right? Demanding them to shut up and stop talking, accusing them of being agitators, etc., etc. Have you ever asked yourself this question? How come these KKK members didn't say, well, you know what, I disagree with you on this point? Or, let's talk about this because I have some differences. I disagree with, I don't think that this is true, and et cetera, et cetera. How come they didn't do that? You know why they didn't do that? Because they know that the person that's speaking is speaking the truth, right? And they don't want to see change. They like the way things are. So once again, what they're going to do is they're going to try their best to silence you. And for a lot of these weak people, it works. They get afraid and they conform. They start saying the same type of stuff that these ignorant people want them to say. But see, I never did that. I always kept the same message. And now the message that I've been putting out there, it is starting to reach the masses. Now you got Floyd Mayweather talking about this racism. Now you got Roy Jones Jr. talking about this racism. Matter of fact, shouts out to my man Hoop Jab. When I get some time after I upload this video, I'll add the link into the description box. But Hoop Jab did an interview with Roy Jones, and it was deep. It was real deep because him and Roy Jones, they talked about the serious racial double standards that exist in the sport of boxing. You guys need to check that video out. It's pretty deep. Roy Jones is on there speaking the real, so shouts out to Hoop Jab for getting these cats to speak the truth on real issues, because we're not going to fix these issues if we don't address them. History always repeats itself. This is why these guys, they always send messages like, oh, stop crying. Oh, I don't want to hear this. History repeats itself. This is exactly what the KKK would do. Stop stirring up trouble. You're just getting the other black people mad and upset, and you're making things worse. This is what the KKK would say. And if you read the comments, this is what some of the people in the comment section say today. How ironic is that? Right? How ironic is that? Really? They say the exact same stuff. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. Right? Oh, but when a Gennady Golovkin fan calls you racist just because you say he should step up in competition, they never approach these Golovkin fans and say, you're just an agitator. Stop stirring up trouble for the good Golovkin fans and stop talking about racism. Stop crying and whining and just get over it. No, they don't do that to them. They don't say that to them because they're covered. They all got that hope insurance that we don't have, right? We know what time it is. If I asked a group of people who said that they were going to vote for Donald Trump to be president of the United States, if I asked them if Donald Trump is racist, what do you think they will say? Absolutely not. There is no way he's racist. He just wants to build this wall and keep these Mexicans out of the country and keep these Arabs out of the country and so on and so forth. That's what they'll say. But is he racist? Oh, of course not. Right? You know why they're going to say that? Because if they will admit that he's racist, then they have to admit that they're racist. Right? Because they are affiliated with this person. This is the reason why you don't have a lot of people come out when they see the racism. They're not going to say it's racist because then that makes them look racist. Or at least it makes them look like the bad guy. They're trying to make the people on the coincidental list look like the bad guy. Well, if they admit this has something to do with racism, then they look like Michael Jackson, where they're forced to look at the man in the mirror, right? Food for thought. You know, this whole racial situation, like I was telling you guys, I'm going to pat myself on the back because I truly believe that this stems from an interview that I did a while ago. The interview that I did with Floyd Mayweather Sr. After I did this interview, I started to notice that Roy Jones, he started to talk more about double standards in the sport of boxing. And then after I did the interview with Floyd Mayweather, not saying that was entirely because of me, but the last interview I did with Floyd Mayweather, where I asked him about the double standards, coincidentally, right after I did that interview with Floyd Mayweather started to constantly bring up the double standards that exist in the sport of boxing, which is a good thing, which is the reason why I speak the whole truth. So eventually, my message will reach the masses. This is how you erase racism. Awareness. Okay? Floyd Mayweather, he's been talking about how the black PBC fighters, they don't get the same type of credit that, non-black fighters get. He's been talking about the double standards with Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey. And like I said, people are listening. When Donald Trump made some pretty racist comments about Mexicans, what did the Mexicans do? They went out and they started to march and they started to protest, right? They made their presence felt with the voice and numbers. One of the most powerful weapons in the world is a voice, or a voice with a microphone. And that's how the word spreads. It's the voice that spreads the word. And spreading the word turns into numbers, right? How do you catch a rapist running wild in your town? You spread the word, right? Put his picture on the news. Put his name and his picture, whatever information you have on the suspect, put it on the news. Now everyone is watching. Now everyone is talking about it. Now the person is committing these crimes. Now he's a little bit more hesitant, because now he knows that the word has gotten out, that he's lurking. It works the same way with the racism. You get the word out, you spread the word. Now the racist people are more hesitant because now a light is shined on them that wasn't shined on them before. I'll close out with a quote by a female by the name of Nadezhda Mandelstam. I decided it's better to scream. Silence is the real crime against humanity. That's all I got, guys. I'm on to the next one.